Hello everyone. Today, let's understand the physiographic regions of India. Once these regions are clear in your head, maps stop being random shapes and start becoming logic. We'll move from the rugged north to the Great Plains in the middle and then to the stable plateau in the south, with the key subdivisions you're expected to recall in prelims and frame cleanly in mains. Before we go into divisions, understand why this chapter matters. The northern plains are India's granary, the agricultural backbone. The peninsular plateau is the storehouse, the minerals and industrial base. And when you connect them, you also connect power potential and biodiversity patterns. Remember the line? The plains feed the body, the plateau feeds the industry. That single framing helps you place resources, population, and development questions faster. Now let's build the logic behind the map. Physiography is not memorization. It's a formula. Structure plus process plus stage gives you physiography. Structure is the foundation created by plate tectonics, faulting, and folding. Process is what reshapes it over time: weathering, erosion, and deposition. And stage is the age and maturity of that landscape. Don't learn the map first. Learn the forces that built it. Then the map becomes predictable. So, at the highest level, India can be read in three macro divisions. 1. The rugged north. 2. The great fill in the middle. 3. The stable south. This is a journey from the collision zone to the ancient block. If you can visualize India in these three layers, you can handle most basic UPSC geography mapping questions without panic. Let's start with the rugged north, the northern wall. The Himalayas sit at the active collision between the Indo-Australian plate and the Eurasian plate, with the Tibetan plateau beyond. Their role is threefold. 1. A physical barrier separating India from Central Asia. 2. A climatic divide that blocks cold winds and traps the monsoon within the subcontinent. 3. A drainage divide, because this system becomes the source region for major river systems. Here's the trap you should be aware of. In answers, don't describe the Himalayas as only mountains. UPSC expects you to link barrier, climate, and drainage in one compact flow. Now go north of the Great Himalayas and you meet the Trans-Himalayas, the Tibetan giants. The key ranges here are Karakoram, Ladakh, and Zanskar. The memory trick given is KLZ, Kara, Ladakh, Zanskar. And one line you must retain exactly. These are north of the Great Himalayas. Many students mix Trans-Himalayas with Himachal or Shivaliks. Don't. This is a location-based classification, not a height-based guess. To organize the Himalayas further, think of the longitudinal divisions like a layer cake from south to north. You begin at the plains, then the Shivaliks or outer Himalayas at about 900 to 1500 meters. Next is Himachal or the lesser Himalayas, roughly 3600 to 4600 meters. Then comes Himadri or the Great Himalayas, above 4600 meters, and beyond that lies the Tibetan plateau. Here's a trap you should be aware of. Students often treat Shivaliks and lesser Himalayas as interchangeable. UPSC keeps them separate with clear altitude bands and positions. Now we move to the middle division, the Great Fill, the northern plains. These are formed by the Indus, Ganga, and Brahmaputra systems. The scale matters. The extension is about 3,200 kilometers east to west. The depth can be up to 2,000 meters of alluvial deposit. And the formation logic is simple. sediment filling a massive depression. That word depression is important because it ties the plains to tectonics and subsidence, not just river action. Within the plains, learn the sequence from rocks to swamps. First comes Bhabar, made of porous rocks where rivers disappear into the ground. Then comes the Terai belt, a marshy swamp region where rivers re-emerge. And beyond that, you have alluvium spread out into mature plains. Here's a trap you should be aware of. People confuse Terai as just forests or just wetland. UPSC's core expectation is the groundwater story. Disappear in Bhabar, re-emerge in Terai. Now refine alluvium into two profiles, Khadar versus Bhangar. Khadar is new alluvium, renewed by annual floods, so it's more fertile. Bhangar is old alluvium, relatively less fertile. Use the given tip. Khadar is khalis, pure or new. In prelims, the examiner often twists it by asking which one is floodplain linked. That is Khadar, not Bhangar. Now we enter the stable south, the foundation, the peninsular plateau. This is an ancient block, part of Gondwana land. It is stable, with low seismic activity compared to the Himalayan belt. Typical elevation is around a 600 to 900 meter tableland. And note the soil cue given. Black soil from Deccan lava is prominent in the northwest part of this plateau region. Here's a trap you should be aware of. Don't casually call the peninsula inactive. It's stable, not dead. UPSC still expects you to remember faulting, rifting, and volcanic history where relevant. Now break the plateau into subdivisions. You have the Aravalli range on the west, then the central highlands including regions like Malwa and Bundelkhand. The Satpura range forms another key belt. The Deccan Plateau is the southern triangle. And then there is the northeastern plateau, especially Meghalaya. This classification is frequently used to test whether you understand that peninsular plateau is not one uniform slab. Now comes the piece many students forget, the Meghalaya plateau. It sits detached from the main peninsular block, but it is still part of the peninsula, not the Himalayas. The hills you must name here are Garo Hills, Khasi Hills, and Jaintia Hills. And the alert is direct. These are not part of the Himalayas. They are a detached piece of the peninsula. The separator between the Chota Nagpur side and the Meghalaya side is the Malda Gap, described as a downfaulted depression filled by sediments. Here's a trap you should be aware of. In map-based MCQs, aspirants push Garo Khasi Jaintia into Himalayan extension because they are in the northeast. That is exactly what you must not do. Now look at the rims of the peninsular triangle, the Ghats. On the west, the western Ghats are continuous and high, with an average around 1,500 meters. On the east, the eastern Ghats are discontinuous and low because rivers have eroded and cut through them. The Nilgiri Hills are a key meeting zone. The summary contrast is high yield. The west acts as a source of rivers, while the east supports delta formation. This one contrast helps you answer why west-flowing rivers are short and swift, while east-flowing rivers form large deltas. Let's lock the whole chapter into a three-line revision frame. The north is the collision zone. Himalayas, the sentinel of the north. The middle is a depression filled by sedimentation. Plains, the granary. The south is the ancient block. Plateau, the mineral heart. If these three lines are clear, you can place any Indian physical feature into the correct region and justify it in one paragraph. This will make you exam ready.